Mm, okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to day one of our masterclass, season three. So today we're just going to start off from where we stopped in the previous class. We were supposed to do a simple product manipulation the last time, and we were not able to achieve that. So we're just going to do something like that. First of all, let's go to Pinterest and get some inspiration. So you can search for product manipulation. So we're just going to do something like that, product manipulation design. So we are going to get a simple one that I think we can replicate or use as inspo. Okay, I don't think I'm getting the results I want. So I'll write product photo manipulation. I'm still not seeing it. Okay. Now I'm seeing what I'm looking for. So you can see several of them like this. This is one. Let me open this one. So you can see that one. So we want to achieve something like that. And right now I have no particular product in mind for us to actually use. Do you understand? So we're just going to come up with something really fast. I think we're seeing mostly drinks here, so we might have to go with a drink. Wow, I really like this one. I like the way this one is, this particular image. So what product should we use? I'm still trying to think. Should we look for Predator? Predator. Predator drink. PNG. So it might be a bit difficult trying to get a PNG image. Well, I kind of think we should go for the can. So I'll try to download this Predator Energy Gold Strike. So I'll just do free download. So it should start. So I'll just create a folder for it, and then I'll save all the files I'll use in that folder. So I already have a folder for things like this. So I'm just, okay, here. Okay, so I'll name this Predator. So I'll save that one. I think that's just basically what I need. So we are going to look for a forest image. Um, or let's search for the Predator drink logo. so that we can add that to whatever we are creating. So I think this is the logo. So we'll download it. So this is the logo. So once we're done with this class, I'll send in these resources on the Telegram group so that we can have access to it and practice. So once we finish any class, make sure to practice what we learned that day, because if you learn without practicing, you would forget what you learned. So let's look for a jungle image, because now it's a predator and the image we have on the can is that of a wild cat. So that has to do with the jungle and maybe the forest. So we have to look for something like that. And then I want to show you how we can combine that. First of all, okay, now if you're trying to filter your results, you can click on tools and go to size. I really want large images, like high quality. I think I like this one. So now this is something completely random. It's not like I planned this. So you can see the process we are going through to achieve this. So it's completely random. So it's not like I had the idea before, so that you can see what it takes to achieve something like that. So I might have to get more than one forest image just in case. We might have to change a few things. So now I want a hand. I think I would like to have a hand sticking out of the ground. Okay, I think let's see what that one gives us. So I think I will get this. And then let's look for an image of a wild cat, maybe a panther or leopard or cheetah. Which one should we go with? Oh, let's go with a tiger. I think a tiger seems to have more energy. So a tiger PNG rather, tiger PNG. So we need the full image of a tiger, maybe this one. So you can get as many as you can get, so that, oh yes, so I think we already have a lot of things going on here. So I think we just need to download 3. I think 1, 2. Now I'm seeing a lot of things, so I'm almost running out of options. So I'm getting a bit confused on what to choose. So I'm just going to select this one, because this one will be in front of the can. And then I think this one, where it is in a walking pose. And then I think this one. So I think these 3. We'll just go with these 3. So we'll download this. You might have to solve this captcha thing. So you just click the alphabets in the order that it is arranged up here, and you are good to go. So let's wait. Okay, so first one downloaded. Let's download the second one. So you can use any type of wildcat. You can even use a lion if you prefer using a lion. But in this case, I prefer using a tiger. And then I think I want to have an image of a hand coming out of the ground, probably a hand holding the can instead of allowing the can just stay on the ground. So it's just an idea. So I might have to look for an image like that so that I can try it out. If that doesn't turn out well, we'll have to just place it on the ground. So let's look for hand sticking out of the ground PNG. Okay, so something like this. But yeah, well, we need something that can actually hold something. Okay, let's add more holding something. Okay, I don't think we're really getting what we want. So we have to look for the one we can actually manage to get. So I think right here, I think this is the closest. I think this is the closest to what we can achieve because I want that to be like a statue. So if we're not getting that, let's look for a hand statue. Okay, so some of the results I'm seeing here, I don't want us to spend too much time doing this. If not, we would have used some AI tools to like manipulate some of these images to actually give us what we want. So but right now, we have to minimize that. So now I think I like this one and I need something similar. So I will just click this little Google Lens button down there to show us similar images. Okay. So it's not really giving me a PNG that I can work with. So I'll have to look for another one. Okay, let's check on Pinterest if we can find something we can work with. So trying to get these elements might take you some time to research. So let's search for hand statue. Okay, I'm seeing something. I think something like this, but not exactly that. I think we might have to work with this. Okay, so let's download this first and then we can see how we'd go around it. Okay, since you're not getting that, let's look for another type. Let me open PNG3. Although I kind of think this would work. I somehow think we can use this. So something like this can actually work. So I actually think we can work with this one, this particular one. So let's download this one. This is the one we are actually going to use. but it looks like it's a low resolution image. But let's download it and upscale it with AI just so that we have something to work with. So we have that. Let's go to pixel cut enhancer. So you can use pixel cut and then drop the image there. So it's going to like upscale it and give us a version that is of a higher resolution. You could also try with free pick. Now, we could use this, but at the same time, I don't want it to also give us zombie vibes, or I think we might just have to go with it just for the purpose of this tutorial, because that particular image really fits what we are trying to achieve. Because once we go through the route of trying to um, upscale and download, it might take us a while. But let's go through it so that we would all learn how to achieve things like that, just in case we have low resolution images. So I'll go to the folder. So there's Predator. So I think this using this hand would work. So you can select anyone. Okay, so now they want me to do premium. So fail to upscale your image. Let's go back again. Okay, so I think it might take a while for the image to like load and all of that. So the upscaling is already done, but I still don't like the results. So we'll use FreePix AI. I think FreePix will give us something much better. So if one tool doesn't give you what you're trying to achieve, you'll get another one. We could use this one, but I really want it to be in a certain way. But if we don't get what we're trying to look for, we might have to go with that one. So let's start upscaling. So I think FreePix AI would give us the best results in this case. So I might have to ditch um, the other one. Although here are a few, but these ones still do not match. So I'll close that one. Okay, let's drop our image here. Oh, I was logged out. So if it requires that you log in, make sure you log in and continue. So let's drop the image again. What are they saying now? Maybe later. So they want me to subscribe and stuff like that. So drop files. So it has uploaded upscale. um not magnific. So you set it to classic, except so now I want the results to be wild. It should give me something very creative, because if you select none, it will just give you something close. But if you select wild, you might try to reimagine. Okay, so I might have to describe the image a little. So I would say a statue, concrete statue of a hand. I want to add a cracked. So I'm trying to be as detailed as I can so that um, I would get the best results. So I would say a concrete statue of a hand with tiny cracks. So why won't they allow that? Okay, so I'm wondering why. Let's refresh. Okay, so I have to go over the process again. I think they must, if that prompt still, if that um dialog box still comes up, that means they've changed their upscaling plans, and that means they want us to pay for it, and which cannot work at this moment. So we have to close that. They want us to pay. So we might have to go with this, but this is still low resolution, and I don't want us to use that. We can use upscale. I think is it upscale.io? No. Okay. Why don't you just go to ChatGPT instead? But ChatGPT upscaling takes a few seconds, if not minutes. So if you're not using the paid version, it's somehow. But let's go there. While we are waiting for that one, we would use another one. So I would add the image to ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT might just be faster and easier for us. So let's go to the image. Okay, PSD files. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to tell ChatGPT to give me a high resolution version of this image. You can describe your image how you want. You can be as much detailed as you need to be. The image is a hand statue with, no, spelled wrong. Statue with tiny cracks. So I think that is enough for us. So you can send it, and we just have to wait a little. So while we're waiting for that, let's open Photoshop and continue what we were doing. So you just click on new file. You can create a new image. Let's use a square frame. So let's use 2000 pixels by 2000 pixels. So once you've imputed your pixel dimensions, you can just click on create. So while we are waiting for ChatGPT to give us the image we requested, let's proceed. So now we would use this forest image. So I want us to use this one. So this is basically a simple, it's going to be a simple product manipulation, because if we want to go into lots of details, it might take us longer than expected. So you can have your image like this and then place it how you want it to be. So now, remember when, if you've seen the video on highlights and shadows, you would understand that when you're trying to do manipulations and image compositing, you would need to understand how light works. Okay, so um, let's see. Okay, I think we are almost getting our image. So let's continue. You can add in the predator. So I needed this to be simple. So it would be here. And then maybe the hand will come out from the ground holding this guy, while the animals, the tigers, are around it. So now when you're trying to do things like this, always make sure that the perspectives are correct. For example, if you're using an image that was taken from a high angle and an image taken from a low angle, it cannot work. Do you understand? So perspective matters. Now you can see that this tiger just fits in because of perspective. So now I really want the center of this image to be in focus. So I might have to scale this up a little bit to get, so it's like this. Okay. So I might have to lock that layer so that I don't move it accidentally. All right. So let's see if our image is ready. So although what might also slow it down is network. So let's see if we refresh the page, we are supposed to get our message. Okay, so that is taking longer than expected. Okay, nice. So we got what we were looking for. So we'll just download this. So this is where we can close the other ones. We could, let's just download this just in case. So I'll send this in. When you're creating yours, you can also try to use this if you prefer. So I'm just downloading it because sometimes what you think might work might end up not working, and you might have to switch to another alternative. All right, so that's why I'm just downloading this one. So for this part, I think for now we are done with the downloads. While we are creating the design, we might get more ideas and might have to download some more stuff. So I've added the predator drink and this tiger. So the first thing I'll do is I'll go to view, go to guides, and then new guide layout. I want to define my boundaries or the margins. So I'll use a margin of 100 pixels on each side so that it guides me on where I should really focus my design. So I'll just click OK. So now I have a margin, more like a boundary I should not cross. Okay. So now we have this tiger here. Let's have this one. We might end up not even needing the hand, but let's proceed. So I think this now, for the purpose of perspective, this might be smaller and behind the can. So this is more like, you must make sure that your perspectives match. Understand that when it comes to perspective, things that are far away often look smaller, and the ones that are closer look bigger. So you might have to take that into consideration. So I might just have to position this guy here like this. And then let's make sure we save so that just in case Photoshop decides to crash, we will still have our design intact. So what we can do now is save the file. I'll save it in PSD files. I have a folder for saving things like this. So I'll just name this Predator design, or just Predator. Predator should just work. So now let's try to, it's saving as, I was not trying to save as PDF. So let's do that again. Photoshop PSD. So I'll name this Predator. Okay, so our file is saving. Now, looking at this, let's add the third tiger. I'm low-key thinking we might not need that hand statue, but let's go on. Let's see. Even this particular tiger is looking like it's no longer necessary, or except we have to put it in the distance. So now you have to understand perspective to know that objects that are far away are smaller. Do you get? So objects far away are smaller. Okay. So I think let's just take it down a little. So I think that should work for the most of it. So now what I'm trying to establish here is positioning every element I would need and how I want them to be before I start balancing out their colors, the lighting, and all of that. So to make sure that I have properly positioned everything, let's see what we can do with this hand statue now. So I'll open it as a different document. Now, if this doesn't work, we might have to let go of it. And I'll come here. There's this background remover tool that I want us to use because okay, background eraser. So once you select it, you can use your bracket keys to increase the size. I was checking out a video of how somebody was using this background remover tool. So I decided to like try it out today. So let's see, tolerance, let's keep tolerance at 70. Okay, so we might have to check protect foreground color. Okay. Sampling, contiguous sampling once. Sampling. So let's see. Oh yeah, so this is not really giving us what we wanted for this particular result. So let's say if we use contiguous, is not even working. Find edges. Find edges seem to work a little, but then it's still not the best. There are some other settings you might need to do. So we'll just go with the magic wand tool. So I'll come here, select the magic wand tool, and select the background like this. So now this should give us a rough selection. So I can change my selection tool and try to clean it up because I need every part of the hand. So even this part should be included. So once we've selected that, now remember what we selected is the black background, not the hand. So if you just go straight to your mask selection, it will actually remove the hand and keep the background because it's the background we selected. So I'll undo that. You can either invert your selection by doing Shift Control I, or if you don't want to do that, just hold Alt and click the layer mask. It would do the magic for you. And so if let's double click the mask. If you've not taken this action before, it will bring up this dialog box telling you what you would like to do when you double click the mask. So I would prefer we enter select and mask so that I can like refine the edges a little more. So you can zoom in. I want us to have some sharp edges, so I can increase the contrast and maybe try to smoothing the edges out, and then shift edge a little so that I might remove some extra edge, and I'll just activate decontaminate colors so that it will try to decontaminate the edge colors, and I'll click OK. So I'll convert this to a smart object and edit it with camera raw. So right click and convert to smart object. So go to filter, camera raw filter, and then I want it to be sharper than this. So I'm just going to increase the textures and all of that. So I'll go to effects, the effects panel. I'll increase the texture, take the texture up, and then maybe clarity up as well. So for the light, I will leave this part so that we'll do that in the main design so that we don't have to confuse a lot of things. So you can see this is after and this is before. This is after. So it gave us more details to work with. So I'm just going to drag it in here. So once I position it, let's try to rotate it. So I actually wanted it like this. Let me turn off the predator so we can see it clearly. So something like this sticking out of the ground and like holding the predator itself. So I wanted this hand to be big like this, but then might take a while. So you'd adjust and check your options, which one works best. So if we have this here, and we have our drink in the hand. So now we're just trying to test. So with the position of the drink and perspective, this would not work so well. Okay, because now if we try to fit it in the hand, the fingers might cover some part of the logo. Anyways, let's try it out. So I would hold Control and click the thumbnail, and it's going to create a selection. And I'm going to come in front of the image we already have. I might create a mask and then invert the mask. All right. So I'll take my brush tool and then make sure foreground color is white. And then I'll paint back the areas I want to still have. So now my brush is a soft brush, so I might just have to right click, increase the hardness. And then to make sure that I don't encroach in the areas I'm trying to erase, I might have to click the hand icon, hold Control first, and click the thumbnail of the hand. Do you get? So you can just come around here and make sure. Now you can zoom in to ensure that you don't paint on those parts again. So you can just zoom in and reduce your brush size, and then try to like replace them. You have to be careful with this so that you don't miss it. Okay, so once you've done that, you can press Ctrl 0 and it will take you to the full view. Oh yeah, well, I think it's beginning to come out well. So we can just deselect with Ctrl D. So, all right, I think this is beginning to make sense. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select the layers, both layers, and link them. So select the hand and the predator, right click and link them. So what linking does is that when you're trying to adjust one, it goes with the other, so you don't have to adjust them separately except you unlink them. All right, now that does not mean you cannot add effects. It just affects positioning and scaling. If you want to add colors and stuff, you can go ahead. Okay, so let's turn over our tigers and see what we can do about placing this thing in the ground. Okay, so we want the hand sticking out of the ground. So let's create a mask on the hand and erase a few parts. So I'll use the bracket keys, or you can just right click and increase the brush size to how you want it. So I just want to erase. Now change your foreground color to black if you want to erase. So we'll change it to black, and I'm just trying to like, I want to use a soft brush for this. Okay, so I can right click and reduce the brush size. So you can just paint in a certain way to like, I just want to see how this would work. So I might have to reduce the size a little. Do you understand? So you can just do that. I might have to reduce the size a little so that it just matches. So I want it to be at the center. So good. We're making lots of progress already. And now what we can do is position our tigers properly. So now the tiger is looking too big. So I want it to be a bit smaller so it really fits with this. So you can have the other ones. Yeah. Now this one would be smaller and it would be around there. So now that's too small. So it's wanted to look a bit realistic. So that should work. So that positioning should work. And then for the last tiger, okay, this should come from here. Let's swap horizontally. So do Control T on your keyboard, right click and flip horizontal. So now you see how important. Let me zoom in so that we'll see this properly. Do you get? So your direction matters. There is what they call visual direction, and it's very important with designs. So you can see now with this, with the way this cat is facing, this one is looking to the right, this one is looking forward. So now like this isn't so bad, but once we change the direction, do Control T, right click and flip horizontal. Once you change the direction, it now seems it's looking to the right. And for me, I think this is much better. All right, if you prefer the other one, in this case, it depends on your preference. It's not like the other way was bad, but I'm just speaking for myself. For this one, I prefer it looking this way. So Ctrl 0 to give us the full view. So now this is more like a rough overview of what we are trying to achieve. So what is left here is for us to balance colors and things like that. So let's extract the logo that we downloaded so that we can just place the logo and know that we are moving to the final stages of balancing colors, highlights, and shadows. Okay, so that's like the last thing on the list. So now with the way the logo came, I don't think it's looking so nice. So we might have to, I just want the name Predator Energy in the background, all right? So I might have to make a selection. Click this rectangular marquee tool and you can just make a selection around the head. You can right click and go to layer via cut, so it separates the layers. Okay, so I just want us to use this one, but now I don't know how they did not cut it out properly, so we might have to remove these white areas. So you can select the magic wand to come to this other tool, the quick selection tool, right click on it and select magic wand tool. So I would hold shift. After clicking, I'll hold shift and click this white part. Do the same for every part that has white. Hold shift and click until you're done selecting all of them. So once you're done, Control 0 to have a full view. So I'll go to select. You know that these are not very high resolution images. So when you try to cut out, it might have some white edges. So we are going to expand the selection by 1 or 2 pixels so that it takes out those white edges. So you go to the select tab, go to modify and then expand. So we're going to expand the selection by 2 pixels. I think 2 pixels should work. So once we've done that, you can just use your, oh, let's undo that. I think this energy here also has. So hold shift and click. So we'll go over that selection thing again. So come to the select tab, go to modify and then expand. We'll expand by 2 pixels and then click OK. Once you've done that, hold Alt on your keyboard and click the mask icon here, layer mask. So once we've done that, we've deleted the white spaces. You can right click and apply layer mask. So it's more like enforcing the changes you've made. So I would also convert it to a smart object layer. So I'll bring it here and have it as an image in the background. So that would be, let me try to centralize it. I'll use Control A to make a selection around the borders of the design, and I'm just going to like click this alignment, center alignment, whatever there. So once I'm done with that, I can go to select and deselect, or you use the shortcut Control D. All right, so Control S to save our design again. So always make sure that when you're working in Photoshop, you save constantly. All right, so now let's change this color to white. So you can go to FX, color overlay, and then change it to, click this color and use white. So now there is something, now you can see that everything in our design is competing for attention because the brightness levels are almost the same. So what we'll do is we'll reduce the brightness of the forest background so that we can emphasize the other things in front. So we'll select our background and then go to, let's unlock it. I locked it earlier. So we can go to image, go to adjustments, let's go to curves. So we'll use the curves to like bring down the brightness a little, not so much in such a way that it becomes too dramatic. So you can select the white part and try to limit the white areas. So I think this works. So if you click, this is before and this is after. This is before and this is after. Okay, so let's add some color balance to this hand statue. Okay, so select the layer, go to image adjustment, excuse me, adjustments, and then color balance. So now you can use this as layers. Now, I prefer using this method, although you can come down here and have the color balance thing as a different layer on its own. But now what that does is that it affects every other image below it, except you clip it to the layer you just want it to affect. But why doing that when you can select this, go to image adjustments, and then color balance. So what we are trying to do with this is to balance the colors of this hand statue to the colors of our environment. So I think we have more yellows and greens. So I might have to add some yellow to this guy and add some greens. Yeah, something around here. So if you try, okay, so I think I've seen what is going to work best for us in this scenario. Okay, so now we've balanced the color. You can now see that the hand is now looking type of greenish, making it look like it's actually in the forest. All right, and we'll save that. So now our tigers are looking all shiny and stuff. So you can see that the shadow of the trees around here is something that also applies in a certain way. So now I'm going to show you guys something that would help us apply some of these shadows after we've balanced the colors of these animals. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to image adjustments. I think we might also need to use some curves for this guy in front because he's under a shade, so he shouldn't be looking so bright. Okay, he's under a shade, so you can reduce the whites. So make sure it looks like he's under the shade, so he has to be darker. Okay, so I think that's okay. So Control S to save. I like saving regularly. So let's do it before and after. So this is after, this is before, this is after, before, after. So now, observing the angle of light very clearly, this tiger here, this one, it seems to be directly under the sun in a certain way. So we may not have to make him so dark. So, but we can just adjust the curves a little. So go to image adjustments and curves. Now, what curves helps you do is helps you balance or adjust the dark and bright areas of your image. There's also the levels control that does something similar, but curves seem to give you some control than edges. So you can just reduce this a little, just a little. So if we reduce the whites, it wouldn't feel so nice. So we might just have to maintain that. And then for this other one, so let's see if we copy, let me take this logo behind. If we copy the curves adjustment from this one and paste it on this other one, let's see how much it is going to help. So I'll just select the smart filters, hold Alt and drag it to the other layer so you can see that it's applied the controls. So but I think it seems to be too much on this one. I just have to increase it a little. Okay, because that one seems to be under the sun. But then we still have to make him dark. I mean, it's just an idea I just got. So what if we make him dark? Let's see how he would blend in. Because right now, I'm not really feeling what it is looking like. So yeah, I think making him look like he's also under a shade also works. So this guy is now the only one with so much brightness. So you can see we are already balancing the light. So now let's balance the colors on the tiger. They're in the jungle, of course, so they have to match their environment. So I'll select the first tiger and then go to image adjustments, color balance. So let's add some yellows, just some tiny amounts of yellows and a tiny amount of green, just in tiny amounts because they're already not looking so bad themselves. But then I can see traces of the green and I don't want that. So click on color balance. I'm going to reduce green to 0 because our lion was becoming green. So okay, so just click OK once you've done that. And now you can copy it for the other one. So color balance, I have this one. So copy color balance on this one. So it's a tiny change. So you may not really notice it except you look closely. So we have these, Control 0. We're already making so much progress. So what we are going to do now is highlights and shadows because now we've balanced the lighting, we've tried to balance the colors. So what we can do is highlights and shadows. So now remember we used camera raw to increase the texture of this hand statue. So but I want us to apply that sharpness to the tigers as well. So I'll select this hand, you'll see the camera raw. So you can just hold Alt, copy only the camera raw and place it on the image you like to have that on. So see, it increased the texture of the tiger. So we're going to have this one. You do the same thing, place it there. Do the same thing for the others. So the same thing for this one. So now see, making the adjustments will affect your image in a certain way. It's going to make it darker, so that it can really look sharp. So you might have to adjust your curves again. Aha. So even this one. So select it, go to the effects, the smart filters, and select curves. And then try to bring it up a little. Okay, so now we have that. Let's balance shadows. So first of all, this hand is gripping this thing. And with the way the light is coming, we should expect some shadows. And if you look at the way the hand is, you should expect some shadows. Now look at this part. We didn't really fix here so properly. So let's go back to Predator, select the layer mask, and then brush tool. You can reduce, right click and reduce the size. And then make sure foreground color is white if you want to reveal hidden places. So with this selected, so scale down, put where you need to put, and then we're good with that part. So shadows, let's start with shadows for this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a rough sketch. Do you get? I'm going to select the polygonal lasso tool, and then I'm going to like try to, yeah, so okay. Oh no. Okay, so we have this selection that we want to turn into, I want to log this um drink or hand layer, yeah. So we'll come back to that. So I'm going to just select, come to the gradient tool, right click and go to paint bucket. I like to use that. So I want to select a shadow from this hand so that it matches properly. So with this selected, create a new layer and paste this. Yeah. So that's what we can achieve right here. So I'm going to disable it and then select the eraser tool, right click, eraser. Make sure my eraser has a hardness of 0. And then I can just try to like paint over the edge to clean up the sharp edge. So we have before, after. This was before, after. So you can still try to clear any that is on this top half that seems to be sharp. So if I duplicate this to make the shadows a lot more harsher, I think that looks better. So without one, so this seems to work. All right. So we will do the same. I'll just merge these two layers with Control E. Excuse me. So we'll do the same for these other guys. So okay. All right. So back to this paint bucket. So now our opacity was 40. Let's make that 80. So just click Control D, select the brush tool. No, not brush, eraser tool. And then try to clear off the rough edges till you get. So okay, so we are getting our shadows right already. So we just need a smaller one around here, because now this is after, this was without the shadows. It was just looking flat. So once you add the shadows, let's add a little one here. So I'll go back to my polygonal lasso tool. I'll just select. So back to the paint bucket tool, click, back to eraser tool. So, all right. Okay. So with the brush tool selected, make sure opacity is 8 to match the one we did before. So back here. No, not the clone stamp. Eraser tool to like balance things like this. Oh no. So you have to be careful. I put everything in one layer, so it's just trying to. Now I'm not so satisfied with this other shadow, so I'm just going to erase it. I'm going to use my brush tool to like paint something. Okay, so we are done with the shadows for the hand. We can use the multiply blend mode to like make it look a lot more realistic. So once you zoom in, this is before and this is after. So see how important shadows can be. All right, so I think I want us to round up with this. It's already getting too late. So hopefully tomorrow we'll start much earlier. So what we have to do right now is to balance the lighting, which I think we've done. We'll continue to show the shadows for the tigers. So for this one, I think I might just have to create a rough selection. So I'll go with the lasso tool. So I might just want to create a rough selection around this guy, which I'll fill with black. So now I'm going to lock this one. Now any layer that you know that you don't want to move accidentally, you can try to like lock it and stuff like that. Okay, so we'll get the paint bucket tool and then create a new layer and paste it. Now this time I want my opacity to be 100. You can select, okay, something around this. And then you can go to select, expand selection a little bit. So you go to modify, expand, and I'll say by 3. So we'll deselect and try to like erase. Now make sure you use the eraser tool. So let's try to like erase the hash edge. So you can try to move it down a bit. Go back to the move tool and move it down a bit. So it's now like this. So you select the eraser tool and then try to erase it. Erase the hash edges off, because you know that shadows normally have soft edges. So that's what we're trying to do. And so once we do that, you can just change the blend mode. Okay, so you can change the blend mode to multiply, or let's say overlay. Overlay doesn't really work. So let's use multiply and then reduce the opacity to like 75%. Yeah, I can take it down to like 45. So all right, so this is already 10 p.m. and I want us to like wrap up with today's tutorial. So we'll continue from here tomorrow when we stop. So um we'll continue with the shadows and then we'll balance the lighting on all the sides. And then we'll add some text and then we'll export and maybe do something else tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining in. I love you guys. See you tomorrow.